Good morning. Thank you for joining us for Pet Connect. My name is Tara Douglas. Each week we will discuss different pet-related topics, including animals that you can adopt from the shelter or from Feral Dogs of Avondale Mill, as well as ways to volunteer with both organizations. But today we're going to discuss one of the many benefits of pet ownership. And studies showed that people who own animals are typically a lot more active than people who don't own animals. And if you're more active, then you're going to be a lot healthier. And who better to talk to today about different activities going on in the town than our very own Steve Masters. He's the director of Sylacauga Parks and Rec. Thank you for joining us today, Steve.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to be here.
Good. So tell us some things that are going on with Parks and Rec this summer, or exciting things coming up with.
Currently, we've been working on our parks. I'm new here. I was in athletics and stuff for a while, but now that I've been over the parks and stuff for 3 months, our biggest thing had been getting the parks up to, the specifications we want and getting everything cleaned up and nice. And now we're working on programming. We've hired Lauren Layton. She is going to be incredible. We've already planned our first big event that's going to be at Central Park. We're having a concert in the park with food trucks, and we're going to have a cornhole tournament and food, and looking for other things to do at that event and stuff. And we've always been a place where you could rent spaces or play sports, and now that we've hired her, we're excited about doing programming and bringing events and stuff to our community.
That'll be great for the community, too.
Yes.
So when is the concert?
The concert is June the 29th. It's a Friday night.
Okay.
It's officially starting at 6, but we're working to have more events and stuff that's going to start earlier throughout the day with the concert.
Welcome to Alabama Smart Yard.
And, we just recently met with Rotary, and Rotary is the one who helped do Central Park along with Bluebell, and now they're ready to move to their next stage where they're actually going to fence in the majority of the park. And going forward with the entertainment district and stuff coming, we just think that's going to be a great event center for us in the future.
Oh, that will be great for that area. And so with the different parks in the area, we're going to go back to the pets here. Are dogs welcome? Can the community bring their pets
Absolutely.
to the different events?
Anywhere in the city limits, there's a leash law.
Okay.
But we have walking tracks currently at Fairmont Park. Obviously, Sylacauga Trail is a beautiful place to go with your animals. We have the walking track out here at Veterans Park as well. And there is talk about doing another one at Bluebell at the Central Park. We're not sure if that's going to work out with it being an event space or whatever, but yes, by all means, we have green spaces, and green spaces are not just for adults, but bring your pets out. There are leashes now that, retract and all this other stuff. And, I'm an animal lover myself, and every time we ever went walking, we always took one of our dogs with us, for sure.
Yeah, and that's so great, again, to get out and move and enrich your dog's life and your life too. Even
that day that you really didn't feel like going walking and you go home and your dog's sitting there and knows what time it is, that's just great motivation for both of us,
So with the parks that have the walking tracks, what's the distance of those walking tracks? Have you measured it out?
Really good question. There's been some debate on that back and forth. At Veterans Park, 5 laps is 1 mile.
Okay.
And that is from Coach Lewis, who laid it out himself years ago. I was corrected on that one. The one at Noble Park, it's like 4.5 laps is 1 mile, and then Fairmont, I think it's 3 point something is 1 mile.
Okay.
And the cool thing about Fairmont, especially if you're going to carry your pets with you, a lot of that is in the shade with the tall pines. The same thing at Veterans Park over there, and it's a softer surface where, Noble Park is a concrete walking track, which is nice for people who, may have some issues picking up their feet and walking like that. But obviously the more natural crush and run surface is going to be easier on the joints and on the dog's paws and things like that.
Now, how many green spaces do you take care of with Parks and Rec?
So we have Veterans Park, we have Beth Yates, we have Central Park, Fairmont Park, Noble Park, obviously, and then our lost park, I love to call it, is the one out at Moon Park. There is a park in the back of that facility that used to have a pavilion and a practice field and everything. And over the years, it just fell in ill repair. And we've gone back and worked with LWCF to clean that park up, and it is literally a green space. It is just a nice open area that we maintain and would be a perfect place for anybody because it's not it's in the back of a community. There's no houses touching this park or whatever. So if there ever was a location where you could feel comfortable carrying an animal or a dog and say you want to teach them with the Frisbee or something like that, that would kind of be the perfect place for that.
Okay, that sounds great. Now, with the Sylacauga Trail, let's talk a little more about that because that seems to be so popular here. Who uses the Sylacauga Trail? It seems like there are always vehicles out there from all over.
It's amazing. That was the brainchild of our local bike club, Cogs, Billy Bean, Perry Clark, a lot of those guys that had that vision, and they were able to bring that to the city, which the Utilities Board owns a lot of that property, and we worked hand in hand with the National Forest because once you get a mile into that 15-mile trail, you're in the National Forest. So they got together, made a proposal to the city. Obviously, it came to fruition, and we built that park, and the Cogs actually maintained that park, and then bit that walking track. And we obviously employ Billy Bean, who's over the Cogs. So obviously we work hand in hand with Billy with equipment. There's days that we go help them on the trail when we've had a big storm and stuff like that. So Sylacauga Trail is 1.5 miles from my house. So it's very, very close to my heart. Our husky that we unfortunately lost 2 years ago, she knew when I got home, she was ready to go. We walked the trail. There's a nice loop that you can do that's exactly a 5K.
Okay.
As you know, if you've been on it, you cross a few creeks and you're close to water. So, if it's a hot day and the dog wants to get in the water or, needs something to drink and stuff, it's really a great place if you have, especially big dogs that like to, need to get that energy out. Sylacauga Trail is perfect for that.
Now, are there any written or unwritten etiquette rules on the trail with so many different uses of it with mountain biking and runners and hikers
That
and dog
is
walkers?
something that we run into. Fortunately, most foot traffic stays closer to the entrance. When you enter the trail and then you have the first loop, which is Ridge Loop, and then you go to the dam, and you may come back this way or you can walk across the dam and go back. So generally the mountain bikers know that most of your foot traffic is going to be near the front of the trail. If you are seeing a mountain bike or somebody coming, we always just kind of stepped off the trail.
Yeah.
It's not a single track trail where two people can't pass, but we always pulled the dog off because you didn't want them to dart out and the leash get in the way of the mountain bikers. Obviously, it's easier for someone who's on foot to maneuver easier than someone who may be coming down a hill or climbing on a mountain bike. So we just ask that, step aside. The mountain bikers are usually moving pretty swift, so they'll be out of your way and you can get back on the trail pretty quick.
That's great, because that way everyone can use the trail safely
Absolutely.
And have no problems with it. Now, I've heard some talk. I don't really know exactly where the Pinhoti Trail, how close it is to the Sylacauga Trail, but I've heard some talk of potential linking up the two. Is that
Absolutely.
something that...
So the Cogs, Billy Bean and Perry Clark kind of headed this up, and we've taken aerial photos of the National Forest and how close we are and stuff. And yes, the bike trail was built, but some of us have been riding that part of the National Forest now for 20, 25 years. So there are additional trails that have always kind of been there that's not technically a trail or recognized by the National Forest or whatever. So we met with them about 4 months ago about trying to extend some of our bike trails that's going to go further into the National Forest and utilize more of the property on the backside of Lake Howard.
Okay.
And from that, we're talking about trying to get a spur. There is a trailhead for the Pinhoti near Hollins area, 148 in that area. And by the way the crow flies, it's not far at all from some of the back parts that would be on part of the new parts of this trail. So, we were just trying to recognize, the Pinhoti Trail's obviously gained a lot of popularity through here, with them extending it all the way down to Flag Mountain. That's kind of opened our eyes and that, maybe we could be a spur off of that where people could start from our area if they would like. or maybe they started up the trail and they want to hit every spur on the pinhoti, and that would bring them into our park. So that's something we're very, very interested in. We're currently waiting on approval to start doing the study from the National Forest, and the gentleman that we were working with has been reassigned to South Carolina. So we're almost back at square one with that, but that's something we really want to work on toward in the future.
That'd be great. Yeah, hopefully that'll come soon.
I hope so.
Now, for those people who would like to go to the Sylacauga Trail, but they are not used to hiking, are there good maps out there for people to follow and kind of know where?
Absolutely. It is a cut trail. It's not just flagged on trees like other parts of the pinhoti or some of the other trails were. They actually blow off the trail, which always blew my mind. We're cleaning the dirt trail. But it is very well marked on the trees and everything. It tells you which loop, which direction they prefer for you to go on the loop and stuff. We have had people who've got turned around on the very back part of the trail, but I mean, when you're talking the back part of the trail, you're looking at mile 9, mile 11, mile 12. So these people are obviously invested in their hike that day. But if you're just looking to go out there and get a quick 5K in, or walking your animal or something like that, the front part of the trail is very, very well marked.
Okay, that's great to know. Now, one last question about parks. I see periodically people asking on Facebook, are we going to get a dog park in Sylacauga? Is that even anything in the horizon
Absolutely.
there?
That's something that it's not on the back burner. It's not the very first thing we're focusing on right now, but we have this company in, and we're doing the master planning right now. And I will give it to Councilman Nate Brewer. He is pushing dog park. Every single meeting we have, he asks, where's my dog park going to be? We're going to do a dog park. And just recently I met with a Miss Whetstone.
Okay.
She had contacted the mayor, and she was interested in, hey, I want to help. I want to be a part of this. Look for grants, help with locations, and try to form like a smaller committee to focus on if and when we do a dog park, how we're going to do it, how we would fund it, and how we would lay it out. And I'm very excited about that. As you and I talked briefly before this started, I'm a pet owner too.
Yeah.
So, I love my dogs. And there are parts of Sylacauga with the leash law that, you may get to walk your dog, but your dog never just gets to run around and play and, get rid of some of that energy. And in my head, that would be near Noble Park, close to the volleyball court that we have over there.
Okay.
It's flat, it's shaded, it's not being used for anything else besides green space. But with this company, they pretty much look at all of our facilities and look at city properties. We tell them the things that we're looking to do in the future, and then they'll come to us and say, hey, we know you think it should be there, but have you ever thought about this? So it's not set in stone, the location, but the fact that we do want a dog park in Sylacauga is definitely something we're looking into.
Well, good. That's great to hear. So, but we appreciate everything that you do at Parks and Rec and providing all these beautiful parks and trails and all these activities for the city. But
yes, ma'am.
Is there anything else coming up that you'd like to tell us about?
But away from parks, coming from athletics, I would be foolish not to mention that our fall sports registration is going on. It's a very, very busy time for us, and Hunter Kane, who took my position, is doing a wonderful job of that. We have girls volleyball, flag football, pee-wee football, youth football, soccer, and I know I'm going to miss one, but we have all these opportunities coming up for both boys and girls. We ages 3 all the way up to 16 on our fall sports. So usually there's something for everybody in the fall. Cheerleading. I know I was going to forget cheerleading. And, it's a very busy time for us. Your kids are getting back in school. By all means, keep them active. Keep them in something, besides going to school and coming home looking at video games all day. And, we're always going to try to provide opportunities to keep your kids enrolled in something and active at all times.
That's great. Now, putting that back with pets, at the ball field, are dogs welcome with families if they come to watch the games, or is it better not to have them there?
Our fields are very unique, and to the point that we have 300-foot baseball or softball fields that we put fences on to keep them small. So during baseball season, there's this huge green space behind the outfield fence that parents, can come and sit and watch. And by all means, people bring their dogs, and you know, as long as your dog's well behaved and your dog's on a leash and you clean up after your dog, we have no issues with that. In our fall sports, it's a little tougher because we actually use the entire outfield to lay out a soccer field, to lay out a flag football field. So there's really not that area where you can go and spread out and stay away from people. And there are children who are terrified of dogs, unfortunately. You know, just lack of education or bad experience with a dog that was not trained well and stuff. So during our fall sports, when everybody's kind of closer together in the outfields, we wouldn't recommend you bringing an animal. But on our spring sports with baseball, where you have literally 100 foot all the way on the outside of the fence on all 4 fields, you know, there's people all the time that have set up a tent, and you know, they'll have their dog on a long leash or a runner or something out there. And yes, it's a great spot for them.
Okay.
And even during the day when we're out there working on the fence, like they train the local canine unit. He trains out there, and then we'll have people come throw frisbees and stuff like that. And we encourage that. Anytime that complex is unlocked, use that facility. It's your facility. So, you know, that happens a lot as well.
Okay. Well, that's great to know. And I'm sure everyone's excited about everything coming up and all the new things at Parks and Rec. And we appreciate you coming and talking to us and helping us understand what's going on there and what our pets can do. So thank you for joining us for Pet Connect today. Next week, we'll have Missy Turner on. She's the owner and groomer at Mutt Cuts, and she's going to talk about grooming your dogs, as well as the upcoming spay and neuter certificate that we have that'll be the end of this month, where you can have a low-cost spay and neuter for your pets. And then in a couple weeks, we're going to talk about Doggy Day Out, and we can tie that into our talk with Steve today about the parks, because you can actually go to the shelter and help dogs out there by taking them out for a day and letting them roam around and have a good time in town. So have a good day, and we will see you next week on Pet Connect. Thanks.